Hello. Uh, I want to upload some information. This is a message for Western men. Uh, you may not believe this, but there's a God. There is a God, and that's kind of important. Um, and you are a good person. Well, you might not be a good person. I shouldn't say that. But you are valued by God, by your Creator. And because of your life, you may not see yourself as valuable. You might see yourself as chattel, as a slave. And this is for people that need this. You know, there's some people that don't that have good self-esteem, but some people need to have a boost. And so that's why I'm doing this. Um, I want to talk about men and women. I want to talk about growing up as a man in Western society. Um, I am in a pretty good spot as a bachelor. I, well, I'm in a decent spot. I'm single. Um, I'm looking for my true love. That's important. I do believe there is one person out there that God has made for me. Um, and this is probably droning on, but what I want to say is that in our society, it's easy to grow up with a lot of angry women who project at you as a man that your role is to provide for them, to work your ass off until the grave for them, and they don't need to uh, offer their fair share. Now, taking care of children is not their fair share. Um, what you need to know as a man, and this isn't mamby-pamby, is that the emotional world is a real important thing to realize. And what I want to talk about is I want to talk about addictions. So, we all know about cigarettes and gambling, and we may not know about gaslighting. We may not know about gaslighting, I believe, is like, you know, representing a falsehood among other people or ignoring, uh, so a member of your family ignoring you. We there is what I want to talk about is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. So, if a woman gets angry at you, and anger is not a good emotion, okay? You may think as a man that you are justified in being angry. There's probably a little bit of anger in my voice just there. But but you are not justified. Now, when you apply that to women, a woman may not physically harm you, although there are those that do. And a lot of Western society does not, appreciate the way that women can physically abuse men. But what they may do as a woman is they may try to control your sexuality. They may try to they may, with scathing words, with constant overtime, you know, verbal abuse, um, or even projection. And when a woman is ignoring you, when a woman is ignoring you, and you look at them and you see, they have this look of hatred toward you, um, you can damn well bet that they're thinking some pretty goddamn awful things about you. Okay? So that's what I mean by projection. And if you think you're enough of a man, or you've got a tough skin enough to deal with that, guess again. Now, you don't need to project back at them. You can be so-called the better man, and you know, I don't know how to say it, but I actually don't know the proper method to deal with that kind of behavior, a projection, let's say. But you do not need to engage with those kinds of people. You do not need to give in to that. So what often happens is, when you're being verbally abused or ignored and being projected at, you will go into your own feelings about low self-worth. And this is where God is important. God is important in a lot of other ways, but you have the opportunity to go to God, to pray, and ask for help with seeing where that low self-worth comes from. So if you can find it, and believe it or not, crying is important. If you can go to that spot and emotionally, an emotional trigger will occur. And if you cry, you may need to, you may be too embarrassed to do it among other people, but you shouldn't be. Then you can release it if you really allow yourself to cry. So what I'm saying is that it's not easy as a man in Western society to grow up with a lot of projection about your low self, about your value in society. It is not easy. A lot of men in Western society take up the brunt of, arduous physical labor that, kind of destroys their physical body. We do it without any real thought for our, health. You may do things to try to impress your boss and excel in a job that is pretty freaking dangerous. You know that going under that big object that's being held up by a crane is not a good idea. If that crane's wire was not carefully, and I know because I've been there, was not carefully, inspected that morning, and if that crane wire snaps, that big heavy object is going to fall on your head and you're going to die. Your life will leave your body. You'll lose your physical body. And the thing is that we so often, we're numb to these hazards because we have low self-worth. We have low self-value. And we think our girlfriend, our wife, is going to leave us if we don't bring home the bacon. The truth is that you have the responsibility to take care of yourself. You have the opportunity, the means, unless you're disabled from birth or from very, young age. You have the opportunity and the means to take care of yourself. And guess what? So does a woman. So that is really important. And that's a big thing for me because I grew up thinking that I needed to provide for women. Um, Women now at the same time, it may be easy to go into this place of being angry with women. When you deal with your emotions with women, you'll notice a lot of anger comes up often. Behind that anger, underneath that anger, there are other emotions of grief, of sadness, of fear. A lot of people, you may, we've all been raised to believe that as a man we have tough skin. We can deal with all the problems of the world. We're fearless. We don't get sad. We don't cry. That's all bullshit. If you are numb to your emotions, it is because you are not able to deal with them because you are hopelessly afraid, my friend. You are afraid. You are petrified of women. You are petrified. If you are not able to feel your emotions, if you are one of those that is completely numb to their emotions, you are probably petrified. Your child self, and what you need to know is a lot of this is not your fault. It is the projection of society on you. Now I want to make a distinction here that you see a lot of Asian women, you see a lot of African women, a lot of women in the Middle East being abused, being, sexually abused. They only have small parts to play in society. They work a lot harder than men. There isn't an equal, sharing of responsibility if you're in a couple arrangement. And so it is not okay to go around and say that all women are treated better than men, because it's mostly in Western society. And it's not in all cases, because you can have a very religious situation. You could be a Mormon, and you can grow up as a woman thinking that you need to play a certain role, and you will have these blocks put upon you. And many times a woman who is abused is not able to express themselves, and that's not right. The important thing to say is that men and women are equal. In the eyes of God, men and women are equal. And I'm not going to say you need to get that through your head, but I know that there are real blocks to that, especially because you are probably enraged by women and you don't know it. The other thing I want to say is that love is not a barter system. So even though I say men and women are equal, even though I say you need to share, well, I don't know if I'm completely right in saying that sharing responsibility is the way. You have an obligation to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And if you look for other people to do that and you're an adult, you need to look at your life and say, I'm responsible for everything that is around me. And if you can do that well, then maybe you can help other people too. If you can't do that well and you look for other people to comfort you and to baby you, which I often do, then you're not taking responsibility for your life. At the same time, if you give love to someone, if you give love to someone who is your beloved or something, and that might be hard. It's hard to imagine. But love does not include expectation. So if you have an expectation of someone that they ought to do this, this, and this for you, A, B, and C, or even if you say, I provide, $40,000 a year, in order for me and my wife or girlfriend or whatever to live, we have a lifestyle that, requires at least $80,000 a year, right? You have situations like you share an apartment or house or cars or whatever, insurance, I don't even know, where your total cost, is about $80,000 a year. You make $40,000 a year. You say that you have this expectation that she make $40,000 a year. Guess what? That is not loving. That is not loving. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's something. It's not loving. But that's mostly what I want to say. And those might be some startling truths, but it may affect you if you've watched this somewhere deep in your soul. You may not agree with everything. You might find that you actually do agree with a lot. But, you might need to go through some emotions and find out where you're at. But what I want you to know is you do not need to live in fear of women. You do not need to feel sorry for women. You do not deserve to be controlled by women. You are incorrect if you believe that a woman needs you to survive, because they have the opportunity, the ability, the means to take care of themselves as well. At the same time, love is real, and you can, if you find her, quote unquote, or the one, you will be able to experience that love if you get through all the pain that you have inside. All right, that's all. I talked enough.